In our previous video, we talked about players like Monica, Agassi, and Steffi Graf and what they've been up to. Now let's dive into some other stars of the 90s and their latest activities. Guga Kuerten was unquestionably the best Brazilian player of all time. He was a clay court specialist who won 3 Grand Slams at the Roland Garros in 1997, 2000, and 2001. Despite never progressing past the quarterfinals of any other Grand Slam event, Guga was virtually unbeaten at the French Open. He won the vast majority of his ATP titles on clay, while he also won a few on hard courts. He also dabbled in doubles towards the conclusion of his career, winning 5 ATP titles with fellow Brazilian Fernando Meligeni. Guga is currently involved in the business world with his brother Rafael through the company Grupo Guga Kuerten, for which he was involved in troubles and compelled to pay $2 million for tax fraud during his stage as a player between 1999 and 2002. He manages his image rights through this holding, in addition to promoting a real estate business and being the image of the investment platform Genial Investimentos, which seeks to expand financial education in Brazil and has over 300 clients, $6 million, and more than 200 offices. We can say he's cashing in big at the moment. His life is also intertwined with the world of tennis as he manages several venues for young talent to practice tennis while also establishing his own foundation to ensure the social inclusion of children, adolescents, and people with disabilities in his hometown of Florianopolis. Guga, who did not publicly support any of the candidates in Brazil's recent presidential election, which Jair Bolsonaro won, did mobilize last June to support the platform Sport for Democracy in order to combat racism and inequalities with more Brazilian athletes. Ivan, a native of Czechoslovakia, is the legend who attempted to switch nationalities in order to represent the United States in the 1988 Olympics and Davis Cup. However, a congressional bid to grant him immediate American citizenship so he could play failed, because Czechoslovak officials refused to provide the necessary waivers. Despite winning 8 Grand Slams in his career, Ivan may be better known for another statistic. He reached an ATP record of 19 Grand Slam finals, winning 8 of them. Using a heavy topspin forehand from the baseline, he helped to usher in the power era of tennis. One tournament he would have regretted not winning was Wimbledon, despite reaching the finals twice. Back in 2011, after his retirement, Ivan was appointed to coach Andy Murray, and he was credited with improving Murray's maturity and consistency, guiding him to his first 2 Grand Slam victories in 2012. However, a few years later, things didn't go exactly as planned. On March 19, 2014, Ivan and Murray announced the end of their 2-year coaching partnership. Ivan rejoined Andy Murray's coaching team on June 12, 2016, and by the end of the year, Murray won his 2nd Wimbledon title, 3rd major championship overall, 2nd Olympic gold medal in singles, and his first ATP World Tour Finals title, defeating Novak Djokovic. By 2018, Ivan joined Alexander Zverev's team, but they split up in July 2019 due to disappointing results and personal differences. Alexander would later come out to state that Ivan was more interested in his dog or his golf game than in professional coaching. Now for the 3rd time, Andy Murray has rehired Ivan as his coach. Murray's manager announced in early 2022 that Murray and Ivan had agreed to resume working together in the coming months. If you'd like to know more about Ivan, we made a video about his family. You can check that out. Sanchez Vicario is a Spanish former world #1 tennis player. She won her 4th and final Grand Slam singles title at Roland Garros in 1998 and has been through a rough patch since her retirement. A complicated personal life and multiple tax evasion cases have kept her in the spotlight, and her most recent squabble dates back a few years. During her illustrious career, the 14-time Grand Slam champion earned approximately $16.9 million, and her incredible run to the Roland Garros title in 1998 remains one of her most memorable performances. Sanchez was one who handed Venus Williams her first WTA main draw defeat when the two met at the 1994 Bank of the West Classic. Williams, who was 14 at the time, was making her senior debut in front of her home crowd. She had set a break lead over Sanchez Vicario, the world number 2 at the time, but the Spaniard's bathroom break turned the tide completely. Sanchez Vicario turned 50 in December, but her celebrations were overshadowed by news that she could face a 4-year prison sentence in her native Spain in a fraud case. Davenport, known for her powerful and consistent ground strokes, won 55 WTA Tour singles titles, including 3 Grand Slams, the gold medal at the 1996 Summer Olympics, and the WTA Championships. She also won 38 WTA Tour doubles titles, including 3 Grand Slams with Mary Jo Fernandez at the French Open, Karina Murariu at Wimbledon, and Yana Novotná at the US Open. She won 3 WTA titles with partners Fernandez, Novotná, and Natasha Zvereva. Lindsay's career earnings totaled over $22 million, and now she works as a commentator for the Tennis Channel. She was also a coach to current elite player Madison Keys in 2015 and 2017. Lindsay is certainly still heavily involved in tennis as it stands. Philippoussis' most notable accomplishments include 2 Davis Cup titles with Australia in 1999 and 2003, in which he won the deciding rubber in both finals. He also reached the singles finals of the US Open in 1998 and Wimbledon in 2003. Mark achieved a career-high singles ranking of number 8 in the world. While Mark still gets a kick from playing the sport that earned him his nickname, the Scud, he is, however, now channeling that energy into his clothing brand, a collection of eco-friendly staples aimed at halting fast fashion and overconsumption. Chris's career in tennis was so successful that she was one of the most decorated players in the sport. The 18-time Grand Slam singles champion dominated each of the major tournaments on multiple occasions. After she retired from tennis in 1989 at the age of 34, her next venture was motherhood. She went on to have 3 boys. But tennis kept following her. She now co-owns the Evert Tennis Academy in Boca Raton, Florida, with her brother John, and coaches the St. Andrews School's high school tennis team. She eventually launched a line of tennis and active apparel in collaboration with Tail Activewear called Chrissy by Tail. Chris also contributes and writes for Tennis Magazine, which she is also a publisher. As of June 2011, she joined ESPN as a tennis commentator for Grand Slam competitions. She was also a member of the 2019 Aurora Games Athlete Advisory Committee. She was recently diagnosed with ovarian cancer back in January. Her younger sister's death from ovarian cancer, she claims, compelled her to undergo genetic testing, which led to her own diagnosis. So far in her cancer journey, she has endured 6 rounds of chemotherapy. As a wild card, Goran Ivanisevic became the only person to win the men's singles title at Wimbledon in 2001. It was his only Grand Slam victory. However, in his career, he won 22 singles titles. Goran returned to coaching in 2013 after retiring in 2004. He began coaching compatriot Marin Cilic, who won the US Open under his tutelage in 2014. After the 2016 Wimbledon, Goran split with Cilic. Tomas Berdych then announced on social media on August 8, 2016 that Goran would begin coaching him at the 2016 Western and Southern Open. He also coached Milos Raonic in 2019 until before the Indian Wells Masters, when Raonic announced that he had hired a new coach, Fabrice Santoro. As of 2019, Goran still takes place in tournaments on the senior circuit. Now he's currently coaching Novak Djokovic, and he recently said that coaching Novak is stressful. Thomas was dubbed the King of Clay years before Rafael Nadal redefined the title, but unlike Nadal, Muster's achievements on clay were not seen favorably by many. Despite winning only 1 Grand Slam, he's regarded as one of the best clay court players. He won nearly all of his ATP titles on clay courts. On the sands, Thomas won 40 of his 44 tournaments. Thomas, also known for his skinny looks, reached the world #1 ranking in the early stages of 1996, but he couldn't hold the spot down for long. few years later, he stopped playing tennis. His last competition was at the 1999 French Open, after which he relocated to Noosa Heads, Australia, where he had lived legally since 1996. Thomas got married to television broadcaster Jo Beth Taylor in 2000, and they had a son, Christian, who was born in 2001. Thomas and Taylor divorced in 2005 after they separated in 2002. He, however, returned to Austria in 2003 to work as a coach and captain of the Australian Davis Cup squad. Tennis legend Jimmy Connors for decades was a household name thanks to his signature two-handed backhand and on-court tirades. Even though he played great tennis into his 40s, the legend decided to retire in 1996. Since then, he's worked on a tennis commentator and analyst and coach Andy Roddick and Maria Sharapova. But each venture was short-lived. One of his biggest mistakes was investing money in a riverboat casino with his brother John. Two brothers invested in a gaming company they owned, the first casinos in Missouri and Illinois. Brothers' shares were worth more than $70 million at their peak of success, but that success did not last long. Share price plummeted, forcing John Connors to declare bankruptcy and severing the brothers' relationship. That wasn't Connors' only issue with casinos. He detailed his struggles in his autobiography, claiming he got a gambler's high betting on himself. He once lost $70,000 on a single hand of blackjack, according to the Daily Beast. Thanks to his wife, Patty, she has been credited with helping him through the addiction and quitting his gambling ways. Which of these stars do you wish to bring back to play if they could? Comment below.